Good day everyone, welcome to the part 4 of our Java programming tutorial. In this video, we're going to discuss the basic control structures in Java, which includes the if-else, and if-else-if, the switch operator, the tertiary operator, and different equality operators like the equal, not equal, greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, and the different logical operators like and, or, and not. So let's start. In any programming language, there is what you call the control structures. So we have three types of control structures. The first is the sequence structure, which is built into a programming language. So the sequence control structure is, unless directed otherwise, the computer executes the statements one after the other in the order in which they have written. So we have seen it in the previous videos where we first declare the variable and then prompt the user to enter a particular value, then execute whatever computation that we need and then print the value. So we have executed from declaration to input the value, then printing the value. So that is the sequence. Now, in this video, we're going to discuss the selection structure. In the selection structure, we have an option to execute a particular command or block of command based upon the result of a condition. So, okay. So for example, we want to know if a given number is an odd or even. So let's try as an example. Let's use the if statement here. So if. So the structure of if statement is something like this. So you need to type first the keyword if, then open and close parentheses, and then the open and close curly brace, which consists of the body of the if. Okay. So the open and close parentheses is what we call the part condition, where we are testing the condition if it is true or false. So how are we going to test? By using the different equality operators and or logical operators. We can combine them both, so we can see them later. So let's try this example. Let's call it odd even number checking. So for example, I have a number variable which is an int, and it has a value of 10. So how are we going to test if this number variable is odd or even? So we can use a computation. So we can use the modulo and 2. So it means that if number is divisible by 2, if it doesn't have any remainder, it means that the value is even. So if it has a remainder, it is an odd. So let's try. So as you have remember in the mathematical operators in precedence topic, so we have discussed the computation of how to use the modulo and the open and close parentheses. So we can group the computation first like this, so that you can evaluate. Then whatever the result will be compared to the 0. So we use the double equal sign as an equality operator for is equal to. So not just single equal sign. Okay. So let's try. So if it is divisible by 2, so let's print out the number is even. Okay. So how about if it is an odd? So we can add another if like this. So modulo 2 is equals to 1. Then we can print the same. So this time it is an odd. The number is odd. So we have two checking of the value. Okay, so let's try to run this. Okay, so the number is even. So if we change this number to an odd number, let's say 27. Okay, so the number is odd. So as you can see, it skipped the printing of the number is even since it doesn't satisfy the condition. So the condition is false because it has a remainder which is 1. So this one, it satisfies with the value. So that's why we can see the output is the number is odd. Now, that is a usage of the single if. So we can group, or we can create, or we can use the if else to combine condition like this one. So for example, you don't need to check for the value if it has a remainder or not. So because if it fails to check that this value is even, we can skip the checking of this one, and instead we can put the keyword else. So it means the default action will be the else part if the if part fails. So if this is false, the else part will be executed. But if the if is true, the if part will be executed. So that's it. That's why it's called selection. We're gonna select whatever block of code are you going to execute. So one thing also that you need to take into consideration is that there's a block of code. So the block is a literal block, consists of an open and close parenthesis. So whatever statement you put inside that block of code will be executed all or not if it is doesn't satisfied with the condition. So let's try if it will. Okay, so the number is odd. So if it is even, sorry, 22. Okay. Okay, so let's try another example. So let's remove this first. So for example, you have a program to, and one of the option is to select the a particular gender. So for example, if so we have a variable gender which is equals to 0. Then we have a prompt. So type 1 for male. Sorry. Or type 2 for female. Okay. So enter your choice. So next, gender will receive the value from input, which is using the next int. Then we can check if the gender is equals to 1. So we can output system that out that print line. You have selected male. Else you have selected female. So as you can see, it's basically the same as the odd even number checking, but there's a kind of a behavior that we can check. So let's run this one. So type 1 for male, type 2 for female. So let's try 1. So you have selected male. Then let's try this again. Let's enter 2. You have selected female. Now if I enter other numbers, for example 8, you have selected female. So even though our choices is that just 1 and 2, the printing that you have selected female always come up because our checking is only for the value of 1. So whatever the value you have entered other than 1 will be printed. You have selected female. So to have a specific checking of the value, and you want to compare it to a particular value so that you can compare if it is satisfied with your value, like let's say the gender is number 2, we can put another else if and another condition here. Then gender is equals to 2. Okay. Then the else can be put to as a last resort. So let's say that the user doesn't enter the correct choice. Okay. So let's say invalid choice. So let's try to run. So enter a choice, 1 male. Okay. Sorry. 2. Okay, I've selected female. And if we enter the other numbers other than 1 and 2, okay, so we have an invalid choice. So that's how to use the if, else, if, and else. So if the if satisfied, then execute the body. If else if is satisfied, it execute the body. But if all of those checking fails, the else part will be executed. So it is some kind of a last resort if all other checking fails. Okay, now let's try to combine other equality operators here so that we can test their functionalities. So clear this first so that we can have room for other code. So for example, you want to check if the grade is within the range to be passed. Okay, so for example, I have declared a double variable which is grade. Okay. Then let's say I have a prompt, enter your grade. Then grade is equals to input that next double. Okay, so now for example, you want to test it if it is passed. So for example, the passing grade is from 75 to 100. So within that range, it is a pass. So but below 75 or 74 or below will be failed. Okay, so this one, let's mark this pass. This is failed. So how are we going to use this? We can use the combination of equality operator, which is greater than or equal to and less than or equal to create a what you call a range. So the minimum is 75 and the maximum is 100. So we can type like this. So if grade is greater than or equal to 75 and grade is less than or equal to 100. So we can print this system data print. You pass. Else if grade is less than or equals to 74, so our message is sorry, you failed. Okay, so let's try to run this. If the output, so enter your grade, so 98.9, which is pass because it is within the grade. Okay, so if your grade is 73.99, you failed because we have specified that it is 74 or 74.0 at least. Sorry, 75. Okay, so if you type 75, you pass. If you entered 74, you failed. Okay, so the new operator that we have used is the double ampersand sign or the AND. So the AND operator is a logical operator. So it means that you need to have true for both of the expressions. So it should be true and true so that the result will be true. But if either one is false, so for example, false and true is equals to true, false, and true and false is equals to false, and false, and of course false will be equals to false. So you need to have to satisfy both, that both expressions are true. So that's why we use it in the range. So we have checked that the grade should be greater than or equal to 25 and less than or equal to 100 for it to print that you pass. Okay, so let's try another example. For example, the OR. Okay, so clear this one. So for example, you want to have a checking for the number, and this number should belong to a type of number that is, let's say, special numbers. So for example, that print. So enter your access code. So let's say, so int access code is equals to input that next int. So the usage of OR will be like this. So access code is equals to, let's say the magic number is either 3, or access code is equals to 8, or access code is equals to, let's say, 15. Okay. So you have, okay, you can break this line. Okay. System, let's print the message. Welcome admin. So let's print 2 lines. It means that we executed 2 statements within the scope of the if. So from this opening parenthesis to closing curly brace. So opening and closing curly brace. So you can do anything. Okay? So else, it means that it doesn't satisfy with the magic number. So we can only print that. So access denied. Okay, so that is OR. So OR, in the OR operator, as long as there is one true value, the result will be true. So either one of these 3 access code is satisfied, it is true. The result will be true for the OR operator. So let's try 8. Okay, welcome admin, you can do anything. Let's try 15. Okay, or 3. Okay, so but if other number, let's say 2, so access denied. So that is the OR operator. Okay, so for the not operator, it only reverses the truth value of that variable. So for example, if you put the not operator in a true, like this one, it became false, and vice versa. So if it is false, it became true. Okay, so what is an example of that? So for example, we declared a boolean variable. So let's say is connected is equal to false. Okay, so the boolean data type is a kind of a type that is a bool. It can hold the value either true or false. So the naming convention for a boolean usually starts with like a question. So for example, boolean is connected, or boolean has access. So for example, let's say it's true, or boolean is number. Right. So So these are like a predicate variable. So we can use them in the if. So for example, so if is connected, so let's try simple printing. So connected. Okay, so what will be the output? We can see this print or not. So let's try. Okay, so we didn't see any output because the is connected is false. So it means that this condition is false. But if we put the not operator like this, so exclamation point, so it will reverse the meaning of that value into um, true. So since it's false, it will become true. So let's try this. Okay, connected. So the value of is connected is now true because of the operator. So the syntax for not will should be, you need to put it in the variable before the variable name. So like this one, and it only accepted one value. You cannot use it like end, which accept a binary value like this. So end can accept a binary value like this. So if it compares the value, or like this, if true and false. But for the not operator, it is a unary operator. It only needs one value. So if you have a compound checking like this one, you need to group it into open and close parentheses, then put a not outside the open parentheses. So it will evaluate the whole uh, uh, expression inside the open and close parentheses. Okay, so that is the not operator. The last example will be for the switch. Okay, so we have this switch operator. So again, remove this one. So the switch is basically like an if-else-if structure. Okay. So the syntax of switch will be something like this. So the switch part will have an open close parenthesis, and this is the condition part. Okay. Then we have the statement part. Okay. So whatever statement you put it there without any block. So the block can be this single open and close curly brace. This is the only block for the switch. And at the end of the statement, once the condition is satisfied, will be the keyword break. Okay, so I forgot the case, which to compare the value. So let's say value to compare. Then colon, then the statement if the value to compare satisfies with the value in the condition part. So we can put whatever statement here, and then the break statement. So the break is important so that if you have multiple cases, so for example case value to compare 1, okay, another break, okay, so it will not fall off on the next case. It will stop once the value to compare is satisfied with the condition. So let's try this in an actual example. So let's try the access code example that we have. So enter your access code. So access code is equals to input that next int. Then let's try the switch. So switch access code. So the case part will be the checking. So for example, our magic number is 3. And then system.out.print. So welcome admin. Okay. then the break. We also have a magic number 8, and then the same output. And we also have the case magic number 15. Okay. Now, if you want to provide a default statement, or in the case of if else, the else part, we can put the default. So if the access code doesn't satisfy any cases that we have put on the first part of the switch, the default will be the one to be executed. So so access denied, let's say, then break. So that is the switch. Let's try this one. Okay, enter access code 15. So welcome admin. So we have printed the welcome to admin message. But as you can see, there's repetition. We repeated the value over and over again. Unlike the if version that we have previously, the checking is just on the if part, and using the or, we can print out all of the values. Now, how can we do this in the switch? So let's say the case satisfies for 3, 8, and 15. We should only do these code once, or we just need to write it. So we need to remove the duplicated code. So we can do this syntax, case 3, case 8, and case 15. Okay, and remove this. Okay, so that's it. So we have 3 cases that satisfies with the access code. If doesn't satisfy the magic number, which is 3, 8, and 15, the default part will be executed. So that is how are you going to use the switch. That is a simple example. On the later tutorials, we're going to use it in combination with the other control structures. Okay, so we are done with the switch. Now the last part is the tertiary operator. Okay, so the operator will be something like this: open and close parenthesis, then there's a question mark and the colon. So now we're going to use it. So let's clear this. So the basic usage of a tertiary operator will be like an if else structure. So for example, if so let's say if x is greater than 10, then question mark, then the value of num will be some, let's say 5, or if it's false, it will be 8. So the basic syntax will be something like this. So the first part before the question mark will be the condition part. Okay, so let's put a comment. So this is the condition part. Okay, so it's something like asking if this condition part will be evaluated to true or false. So by using the equality operator, we can derive the value as either true or false. So if x is greater than 10, okay, so that's a question. So if it is true, the value will be based on the values specified here in the after the question mark. So this is the true part, and this is the false part. So if the condition part is true, the true part will be used and put to num. If the condition is false, the 8 will be put into num. So let's check if that is correct. So print 9. So let's print the num. So if condition, okay, so check. So it's 8 because x greater than 10. It is not greater than 10, it is equals to 10. So if we use the greater than equals to, okay, the result of num will be 5 because it is true. So you cannot only use this tertiary operator in a number. You can use this also in other types, like for example string. So string message is equals to, so let's say the r is, let's declare the r first. R is equals to 12. Okay, so if r is greater than 12, let's say good morning, or sorry, good evening, otherwise good morning. So let's run. Okay, so I have an error. I missed the semicolon, so let's put the semicolon here. Okay, okay, so we didn't print the message. So message, so let's comment this first. Okay, so good morning, because the r is not greater than 12. Okay, so if it is greater than or equal to 12, good evening. So let's try, so let's say it's 10. Let's put back the condition. So it is morning. So if it is 18 hours, so let's assume that the R being used is a 24-hour format. So 18 is good evening. Okay. So whatever the result of the condition part, the value part, which denoted with the colon, will be put into the variable. Okay. So this kind of selection operator is like an inlining. So it means you can do a specific checking of the value using the one line of code like this one. Okay, so that is the uh, part 1 of our control structures. So in part 2, we'll discuss about the repetition structure. Okay, so don't forget to subscribe in the my channel, and thank you for listening.